Be careful of your arms and legs as they start to close those tram gates if they haven't already. If you have any small kids with you today, talking about the kind of kids whose feet don't quite touch the floor when they're sitting down, you want to place them in the middle of the tram. It's going to be the safest place for them. And we'll be heading out just a few moments here. I'll do another double check for those 3D glasses in a few moments here, but don't forget, this is a live studio lot we're going to be taking you through. The studio lot is why the theme park was built. There are productions here every day of the week, every hour of the day, and nice relaxing Sundays before Memorial Day are no exception. So you never know who or what you're going to see out there. Looks like those tram gates are closing. Be careful of your arms and legs. And one last call for 3D glasses. If you don't have those 3D glasses, flag down a tour ambassador.
We got a special tram, by the way. We got a special tram.
Oh yeah.
This is not a regular one. It's a glamour tram.
Yeah, I heard.
The new ones. Yeah, I guess that's how it is. It depends on luck.
But I won't be able to know what the old ones feel like.
Oh, the color.
Oh, that's it? Okay. 1, 0.
For this 60th anniversary tour. Here he is from The Tonight Show, Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world famous studio tour. I know what you're thinking. Why the tux? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we'll pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Thank you, Jimmy. On March 15, 1915, our founder, Carl Lumbly, invited the public into the studio to watch the silent movies being made. Guests could walk from set to set and marvel at the new technology involved in filmmaking. But with the invention of sound and the need for quiet on the set, the original walking tour ended. In the 1960s, under the leadership of company chairman Lew Wasserman and executives Al Dorskin and Jay Stein, the idea of reviving a tour of the studio returned when the Green Line bus tours originating in Hollywood would make a stop at our gates. So on July 15, 1964, the first of our red and white candy striped glamour trams took 67 passengers on a 2-hour driving tour of the Universal lot, and the world-famous studio tour was born. We started with 2 drivers, 2 guides, and 1 ticket seller working out of a trailer on Lankershim Boulevard. From there, the studio tour expanded with fantastic one-of-a-kind Hollywood elements like the Burning House and the Rock Slide, which were in this area of the back lot back in the 1970s and 80s. And this entire time, Universal has been doing their best to bring you some of your favorite productions, whether they be live action or animated, like Universal Studios' mascot, Woody Woodpecker. Woody Woodpecker was created by a man by the name of Walter Lantz, who also did a little bit of directing for Universal. He directed an animated sequence in a live action movie called The King of Jazz that filmed on the lot. One of the segments of that film featured a grand piano that was so big, they fit an entire orchestra inside of it. And because of how big that was, they had to film in the largest soundstage on the lot, which was just built the year before, 1929. And it's still on the lot today. Here on our left, Soundstage 12. A lot of history in there. There's the stand for The Voice because their first 20 seasons filmed in there. And one of the biggest names in NFL history has filmed in there. Of course, I'm talking about Taylor Swift. Her music video, Me, filmed in there. And look, if you're not a Swiftie, what can I say? Haters gonna hate, 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 baby. Well, like I said, see, there we go. There's a lot of history in Soundstage 12. And of course, that's not the only soundstage on the lot. We're going to be passing by all these other soundstages on the left. But before I talk about those, take a look on your right. You're going to see the backside of Super Nintendo World. Now, you cannot get off the tram here to get to Super Nintendo World. You have to go back to the upper lot, take the Starway down to the lower lot. But in the 70s, before all of this was here, guests would get off the tram to check out Edith Head's office, Oscar-winning costume designer. And in the 80s, they got to check out the Preview Center. But throughout all that time, these sound stages on the left were here. They've been recently used for shows like Ted, Quantum Leap, both versions of the show actually filmed here. Hats worked on all of their seasons out here. Currently, sound stages 7 and 8 that we're passing by, these are 2 of the 3 sound stages being used for Bel Air. I bring that up because as we turn the corner, you've got these trailers here. Behind them, that's Soundstage 14. That is the 3rd soundstage being used for Bel Air. Bel Air is the dramatic reboot of the 1990s sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel Air. You can catch both of the first 2 seasons on Universal streaming service Peacock. They're still on the lot because they're already working on season 3. But let's hear more about these sound stages and a little bit of the 60th anniversary from some of the actors. Here's Jabari Banks and Ollie Charlton to tell us more.
We're leaving the theme park behind and entering the front lot where real Hollywood magic is made. How? Well, inside the sound stages that surrounds us, we can create any kind of environment the script demands.
For the past 60 years, studio tour visitors have driven right by these buildings, and inside these walls, the sets from your favorite TV shows and movies have transported audiences anywhere the imagination could take you, even to a palatial mansion in Bel Air.
When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who
Or what?
you'll see on the studio tour.
On the right, we've got these historic sound stages that have been here since the early 1930s. They've been used mostly for TV shows, but in between that, all the right, car 1 is passing that sign for Illumination Entertainment with some minions in front of that sign up to no good. Illumination Entertainment's known for their animated features, and this summer you'll be seeing those minions on screen again in Despicable Me 4. Here to tell us a little bit about Despicable Me 4, Illumination, and some of these bungalows we're about to pass by here on the left side. We've got CEO and co-founder of Illumination Entertainment, Chris Meledandri.
In the early days of the studio, these bungalows were used as dressing rooms to the stars of Hollywood's golden age. Now, they're used as offices where some of Hollywood's top directors, writers, and producers work their magic to get a production ready, including my company, Illumination. At Illumination, we've made some of the most successful animated films in box office history, including Despicable Me, The Lorax, The Secret Life of Pets, Minions, Sing, The Grinch, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. And the team is hard at work again as we launch our next film, Despicable Me 4.
Hello, everybody. There's my boy. I know you love your dada. Say it.
Yes, of course he loves you. He just doesn't show it on his face or with his body language.
We've had some really good sequences in Despicable Me movies. The heist of the Honey Badger is now officially my favorite. What it comes down to is the emotional through line. And I believe that that's why these movies have stayed in people's hearts.
On the right here, we've got what looks like an office building. It's actually part of 2 sound stages. Sound stages 26 and 25 were built with these offices connecting to them to help productions flow smoother. This is where they're working on season 2 of Lopez versus Lopez. Now, in the top area of this front area, of the front offices here, you've got a writer's office. And if it weren't for those writers, almost no productions would happen anywhere in Hollywood. Keep that in mind as we enter these metropolitan sets.
We're about to cross the imaginary boundary onto the back lot, where we have exterior sets for many outdoor scenes. Over the last 60 years, studio tour guests have seen these locations turned into big cities, quiet suburbs, even that guy's hometown. Yeah, that guy. For countless movies and TV shows. This is Universal's Metro Sets.
In the Metro sets is where they'll do exterior city scenes on a grand scale. On the right here, you've got the set currently dressed up as a emergency area for St. Denis Medical. It's also known as Brownstone Street.
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley in the Back to the Future films.
And they represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, and the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. If only we had a time machine.
Hey, everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour? See you in the future.
All right, y'all, you might want to get your cameras out, because as we turn into Courthouse Square, we've got Doc Brown waiting for us with his time machine. Hey, Doc, how's it going?
The time experiment worked. Give yourself a round of applause. Woo! There we go. As you can see, this is how I made it. I figure if you're going to turn a car into a time machine, might as well do it with some style, right, little one? And if you're a big fan, you can see the clock is still
Yeah!
4 p.m. From November 12th, 1955. We're right down that road. We sent Marty McFly back to the future. So let's do another time experiment with you. How about we send you from the West Coast to the East Coast?
Sounds great, Doc.
I do!
All right, Doc, we don't want the space-time continuum to get all wibbly-wobbly, so we should leave the Doctor who has other things to worry about. Allons-y. TARDIS, Sonic Screwdriver, Doctor Who filmed an episode here. These sets right here, they've been here since the 1940s, but as we enter New York Street, keep in mind, this area was updated around 2008. Before that, from the 80s up to that point, this is where we had the original King Kong attraction. Well, let's hear about that from Jack Black.
And self-action. Did you know the Metro sets were once the home to Hollywood's biggest star? Right here is where the original studio tour King Kong attraction resided from 1986 until 2008. He stood 30 feet tall and weighed in at 13,000 pounds. Over the years, millions of guests got to meet King Kong face to face as he shook the tram. So close you could feel his hot banana breath.
Thank you, Jack.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I can't believe that's my last line, and then the tram moves on to the next thing.
That is right, Jack. We will move on to the next thing, which is the newer version of King Kong, otherwise known as King Kong 360 3D.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up in an inch. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times.
All right, y'all, get your cameras ready for some studio tour history. Coming up on the right, you're going to see the runaway train and collapsing bridge. The collapsing bridge was a mechanical effect that the trams used to cross. The hydraulic support beams would split, and the bridge would seem to collapse. The runaway train was originally located in our western sets. It used to hurtle towards the tram and come to a screeching halt. Both of these are retired effects that were made for the studio tour 50 years ago. And Mr. Jackson will be back in just a moment here to let you know exactly when to put on those 3D glasses. But before he does, please don't forget to remain seated. Hold on to all personal objects. And for everything inside like this in Fast and Furious, please, no flash photography.
Not yet, Jesse, not yet.
Glasses on, everybody.
on 363.
What? What'd you say?
I double. 7 trips.
You are finished with your 3D glasses for now, but keep them nearby. If you need to put them on again, we'll make sure to let you know when. The two screens you just saw that are the largest in the world. They're both 40 feet tall and 180 feet long. Peter Jackson and the team at Weta Effects worked on this. Weta Effects is a CGI special effects company that have won their fair share of Academy Awards, including their 7th Oscar last year when they worked on Avatar: Way of the Water. Now, coming up on the left, you're going to get a different angle for New York Street. Don't forget, that's also where American Ninja Warrior films. Their city preliminaries and finals for all of Los Angeles films right there on New York Street. Now, because of some construction happening on the normal route for the tour, we're going to take this way to head to some other sets. But because of this, we're going to pass by something we don't normally see during the tour. We're going to pass right in front of the classic Universal Monster mural. You won't be able to miss it. It'll be coming up on the right side after we pass some of the picture cars from St. Denis Medical. Now, this monster mural, you're going to see how big it is. The entire wall was done with a whole mess of spray paint cans by the talented Tristan Eaton.
And an instrumental part of the process of designing these murals was getting to go to the Universal Archive. Going there, I got to see in person props from the movies, photos from behind the scenes, original illustrations from those movie posters, all this stuff. I had an early affection for movie monsters. I was always fascinated by the magic behind making movies. I fell in love with zombie movies and monster movies as a young kid. My world that I come from is skateboarding and graffiti and comic books. You always have to pay homage to where that art form started. And for me, it started with painting stuff in the street illegally. You know, tagging billboards and dumpsters. You know, without that, I never would be here using spray paint like this.
So what's the lesson? Continue tagging. And then you'll work at the
Coming up on the left, you're going to see this body of water known as the Hollywood Ocean. Here in 1974, we added The Parting of the Red Sea to the studio tour. Inspired by the classic film The Ten Commandments, a Paramount Pictures film, the star of the movie, Charlton Heston, would make an appearance to part the waters for our guests. The glamour trams seem to drive right through the lake and give everyone on board a sea-level view. There have also been exploding water mines, torpedoes, and prop submarines as part of the action.
This tram is overloaded. Tell them they can walk on water. It's part of the tour.
And the studio tour isn't the only one celebrating an anniversary this year. That's right, Creature from the Black Lagoon, which filmed in that body of water there, originally released as a 3D film in 1954, is celebrating its 70th anniversary this year. Now, Ben Chapman, the actor that you just saw on your screens portraying the Gillman on land, was one of the last to join other actors like Lon Chaney Jr., who played the Wolfman. All of those classic monsters filmed in these sets known as Little Europe. And a lot of you may recognize Little Europe, not necessarily as a bad place filled with monsters. You might recognize it more as The Good Place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I have never ever seen this.
You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Well, maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
All 4 seasons of The Good Place filmed here in Little Europe, as well as in some of the sound stages. Coming up on the left, you've got the railway station from the show. But if, like me, you're a fan of the classic Universal monsters, on the right, there's this open area called Court of Miracles. Court of Miracles was used in almost all of the classic monster films, like in Frankenstein, when all of the villagers were gathering together to grab their pitchforks and torches to attack Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster. And Bits of Little Europe was also dressed up as Iping England for the Invisible Man. Now, Little Europe isn't just for the classic monsters or the afterlife. Even a mouse can film here. That's right, Disney has filmed in portions of Little Europe for scenes from their Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And they also filmed throughout Little Europe for some scenes from Disney's The Muppets, released in 2011. And for all of my fellow monster fans out there, if you have the box set collection of the classic films, specifically on 4K or Blu-ray, I invite you to go back and watch Dracula, but not the Bela Lugosi version. I'm talking about the Spanish version. A lot of film historians will argue that the Spanish version of the film is a superior film. The English-speaking cast, they filmed in Little Europe during the day, where they had to make it look like night. The Spanish cast had the same filming schedule, but they filmed in Little Europe after the English cast every day, overnight, in a natural night light setting. So those historians will argue that the combination of the Spanish Dracula's performance, done brilliantly by Carlos Villarías, mixed in with the natural lighting provided by the moon and stars, actually gave the actors genuine fear, providing a little extra oomph to their performances. So again, if you have access to both versions, watch them for yourselves and you decide which you think is better. But don't forget, those film historians are saying it is a better film compared to what is already considered to be an outstanding piece of filmmaking achievement. And if you don't have access to both versions, that's okay. I've got a few scenes right here for you to compare.
I am Dracula. Soy I never drink. Why? Yo nunca bebo.
Now let's hear a little bit more about these horror icons from some Hollywood icons.
When we think of Universal, we think of monsters.
Dracula, Frankenstein,
Wolfman, Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy,
The Hunchback of Notre Dame,
The Invisible Man,
Phantom of the Opera.
classic films are just brilliantly made.
That Frankenstein image, the flathead, bolt. It's one of the great icons of the world.
That to me was like the essence of the Universal horror film. I was just mesmerized by these movies.
Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney.
I remember the original Universal Studios Mummy movie really scaring me.
They still ring in our memories now, and we love them.
All right, y'all, we're about at the halfway point of the tour today. So I do want to remind you, we are no longer in the theme park. We are in the studio lot, which is private property. So it's very important that you remain seated on the tram. But don't forget about that E-Court if you've got an emergency or you just can't wait to use the restroom. Now, you'll notice a majority of the sets all over the lot are facades. A facade is when they only build the portion of the building that you see on screen, the front and maybe one or two of the sides of the building. If you look at all of our facades on the lot, you'll notice that when we pass by them, if there ever is anything on the other side of a facade, it's a completely different type of building altogether. If you were to look inside of the facades, you'd see nothing but a bunch of 2x4s holding everything up. And some of you might be thinking, Jose, is that safe? 2x4s? Holding up brick, metal, mortar, concrete, steel. That's movie magic for you. Facades are built with panels of plywood, foam rubber, fiberglass, all molded and painted to look like the real thing. But sometimes when you want to film an inside scene, or in some outside scenes, you'd film in a soundstage like we're going into right now. This is Soundstage 50. And for those of you who have taken the tour many times before, you may remember that for a little over a year, Earthquake was out of commission. Just like some movies and TV shows, Earthquake got a reboot. So instead of heading into a hot set of a 1980s San Francisco subway, it is now a modern day hot set of a San Francisco subway. We've got electric bikes parked. One of the things you can see. This is that Earthquake. You might want to hold on tight, y'all. This could be the big one. This was for production, and that scene would have been about a minute long on the screen. But for production filming here, it would have taken more than one take, definitely more than 1 minute to do. So for every take they have to do, they have to set up camera equipment, lighting equipment, sound equipment. An actor might mess up a line, so they'd have to start again from the beginning. And then after that, they have alternate angles to shoot from, so they'd have to start again from square one. Filming for that kind of a scene could be up to a week of work. And then they still have to edit everything in post-production, which could be up to a month of work. All of that time for a scene which is about a minute long. And sometimes, for something that dangerous, they need to replace the actor with a stunt actor. Some of the most unsung heroes in Hollywood. Well, we've got Stuntman George waiting for us in Amity Island. He's going to show us some scuba stunts and scuba safety. He is a trained professional, so again, remain seated on the train and also hold on to your personal items. We don't want you to drop anything in the water here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, I thought they caught the shark, but it looks like there's another one in the water. And I think Stuntman George is already underwater. Oh no, this can't be good. Oh, that is no bueno. Oh, George. Oh, it took George a lot of guts to be out there. As you can see, the shark is now enjoying those guts. We're gonna be okay, y'all. Our driver Aris is pulling up to keep us nice and safe behind all of these barrels of gas. When I think safety, I think gasoline. We've got some bait attached to the barrel in the water that the shark is taking with the entire pier. Oh boy. You know what? I think we're okay. I don't see the shark anywhere. Wasn't necessarily the case for Jaws, where they were filming back in 1974. They were so far behind schedule that during pre-production they had to skip testing their 3 mechanical sharks. So it wasn't until it was too late when they were filming on location at Martha's Vineyard that they realized salt water would get in the gears of the mechanical sharks, corroding all of the electrical equipment, causing them to malfunction. It happened so much on a daily basis, the crew just ended up calling the movie flaws. The release of the film was pushed from the winter of 1974 to the summer of 1975. Now, as we turn the corner into Old Mexico, if you keep your eyes on the right, you'll see the backside of some of the Amity Island facades and all of those 2x4s I mentioned holding everything up. keep that in mind here in Old Mexico. These are more facades we're looking at. We're here for a practical effect of a flash flood, but let's get the weather forecast from our friend Al Roker of the Today Show.
Time for my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968.
This practical effect of a thunderstorm is done with sprinklers hit above us, the thunder's coming from speakers, lightning coming from strobe lights. We're here for a flash flood. All of you in cars 3 and 4, I hope you're wearing ponchos because you are at the point of impact. Everyone in cars 1 and 2, don't worry. That water's coming for you too. Draining under the bridge here. The way the effect is done is thousands of gallons of recycled water is what's used. Goes under the bridge and back up the top of the hill. The next train that comes by, the driver is in control. The driver has a button like you would use for a garage door opener, and that button tells a computer when to start those practical effects. Let's take a look at that flash flood in action in a movie called Big Fat Liar.
Big Fat Liar? Big Fat Liar. You can't outrun the wolf, kid! Yeah, we'll see about that. Hang on, Kelly Bob!
Notice that as the clip was playing that we started to trade Old Mexico for the Old West. We're pulling into 6 points, one of the Western sets on the lot. And here's something you might not have thought of when it comes to Western sets. Whenever production is filming in one, it doesn't have to specifically be set in a Western era. And I'll use 6 points as an example. It was used in an episode, or excuse me, in a modern day era, in an episode of Castle with Nathan Fillion and Stan Katic, a futuristic sci-fi setting from an episode of HBO's Westworld, and 6 points was even used in a modern day era in trying to look like other places, like for time travel with Quantum Leap. That's right, an episode filmed here. And don't forget that sequel series, which stars Raymond Lee, Ernie Hudson, Caitlin Bassett, and Mason Alexander Park, has all of their 2 seasons on Peacock for you to catch. Back in the 1920s, the silent film era, Westerns were the bread and butter for Universal Studios. But with the advent of sound and film, Westerns lost popularity for a little while. But Universal still had those classic monsters. Now, the classic monsters, obviously you think of Frankenstein, Dracula, and the bunch, but those aren't the only monsters. Bruce the Shark from Jaws is also considered a monster. The movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. It ended up becoming the first summer blockbuster ever. Steven Spielberg was also instrumental in bringing Jaws to the tour.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
As we pass by Amity Island again, some of you TV fans may recognize it more as Cabot Cove, the setting for Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury on CBS back in the 80s. And if you're a fan of that show, we've got her backyard here on the right. This is a practical set, which means there are rooms built inside, so you can film inside as well as outside. But as we turn the corner around it, you can see another facade. And again, how they only build the portions of the building that you see on screen. On the left over here, that's Colonial Street, which a lot of you know as Wisteria Lane from Desperate Housewives. There is a production further down there, so we're going to have to skip Colonial Street and go right to Steven Spielberg Drive.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. This was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom. And when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left. And then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
I love to refer to this studio lot like a playground where all of the other kids come and play. Disney, Marvel, Warner Brothers, Paramount Pictures, HBO, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple Plus, you name them, they have filmed on the lot, even here where you might think there are no sets. If you've seen Netflix's Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, you may or may not have seen some of these trees. All of her campsite scenes were filmed out here. Or if you're a fan of 911 on Fox with Angela Bassett, one of their episodes filmed here that featured a flipped-over limousine that was caught on fire. Now, sticking with that playground analogy, sometimes the kids who come play here, they leave their toys for Universal Studios to play with. This set that we're pulling into, it was built originally built for Paramount Pictures and their film War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. While we roll through this area, I'm going to play a clip of an interview with the director, Steven Spielberg, and production designer, Rick Carter.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around the vision of Steven.
We sit together to sit down to talk about the world. That thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a good neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. What you're doing, thank you for something. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now close.
Right next to the War of the Worlds set, you've got the original Psycho house from Alfred Hitchcock's classics, Psycho and Psycho 2. And as we turn the corner, we're going to pass by Universal Studios' scale replica of the Hollywood sign. And for the first few decades of the studio tour, one of the hallmarks was a visit to Prop Plaza, where guests would get off the tram for once-in-a-lifetime photos and to interact with characters, vehicles, and props from their favorite productions. And for the 60th anniversary, we brought that opportunity back. In a moment here, the studio tour ambassadors will open the gates, and you'll walk towards one of the original glamour trams out there. You'll take a left and experience those photo opportunities for the Hollywood sign, Marion's car from Psycho, the Bates Motel, and I do believe Norman Bates is on duty. And then right around the corner, you've got, on the other side over there, picture cars from Fast and Furious, King Kong's hand, and one of the original sharks for the Jaws photo opportunity that used to be in the theme park. Now for Jaws and King Kong, keep an eye out for the QR codes for an interactive element that you can post on Instagram. This is an optional hop-off, but if you are going to get off, make sure to take all of your personal items with you. Don't forget your 3D glasses. You'll board the tram on the other side over there. You might not get back on my tram. You might get back on another tram that's already ahead of us and get back to the people. I hope y'all got some great pictures with those picture cars, props out there. And keep in mind, those photo opportunities were made possible for the fact that Universal Studios has a long history of working with some of the most pivotal directors in Hollywood. Steven Spielberg, Alfred Hitchcock, Peter Jackson. The most recent addition to the list is Jordan Peele.
I remember going to Universal Studios when I was 12 years old, feeling this feeling of wonder. You know, one of my first trips at Universal Studios, seeing the Jaws ride. One of my favorite movies of all time. Just feeling like, that's him. That's the Jaws. Like, I don't even know if that is the Jaws. I hope it is. Sharing a space with Hitchcock and Spielberg, I couldn't be more proud.
Now, for those of you who did start the tour with me, we talked a little bit about production and pre-production, everything they do before filming, but also barely touched upon the topic of post-production. We talked about that during after Earthquake. That's when they edit everything they filmed. Actors have all gone home, the filming is done, but they still have to edit to add in things like music, the score, sound effects, and of course CGI, computer-generated imagery. And Universal Studios is no stranger when it comes to CGI.
Por ahí pasamos. Ahí están los aviones.
Now, in that clip, you saw a few examples of post-production work, all that the wireframing, and you saw some blue screens in the background. I love to bring that up because right here we've got a great example of some blue screen work that can be used. On our right, we've got what kind of looks like a parking lot. Cars 3 and 4, that's okay that you can't really see. Behind that area, a little bit of rubbernecking for you to do, you can see that blue screen. This lot is actually known as Falls Lake. There's a dip in the area, and it can be filled up with water. It was originally built this way for Jaws the Revenge. That blue screen in the background was originally added in as a painted background of a sky, but they eventually turned it into a blue screen so that you can change the background, make it even look like space if they wanted to. But here's an example of Falls Lake with some post-production.
Evacuate.
pause the clip in just a moment here. There we go. Pause the clip right there. So, if you don't remember, Sully is about the emergency plane landing in the Hudson River. This scene takes place in the Hudson River, but it filmed in Falls Lake. So take a look at your screens there. The plane is real. The actors are real. But here's where some CGI came in. Only one of those boats is real. The cityscape that you see in the background, the other boats, and even that helicopter in the foreground, that was all added in post-production, thanks mostly to the use of that blue screen back there. And here's a look at some other things that have filmed in Falls Lake, including Jaws: The Revenge. The main reason you don't get to see Falls Lake so much anymore for the tour is because now in its place in front of it, you've got the original Jupiter's Claim set from Jordan Peele's Nope.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Jupiter Park. Over there, look into the winking mirror and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Show. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? What? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience, equipped to showcase an unbelievable new live show. So loud. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy, Gold Rush Frontier lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center of New York, Oxford. Welcome to the world of no. Okay, y'all, we are now heading toward the part of the studio where we once had an attraction called the Doomed Glacier Expedition, better known as the Ice Tunnel, featured in an episode of The $6 Million Man starring Lee Majors and wrestling legend Andre the Giant as Bigfoot. The tram would climb to an imaginary elevation of 12,000 feet. The only way back to the theme park was through the Ice Tunnel, where the slightest sound could trigger an avalanche, and of course for the tour, it always did, causing the walls to spin and guests to tilt along with the Hollywood special effects. Sorry, I'm getting word from my dispatch office here. Apparently we got someone from the Eyewitness Protection Program on board the tram. Don't identify yourself. Someone by the name of Owen Shaw has snuck onto the studio to hunt you down. Currently, the FBI is working with security to find the boat. I'm gonna hide in this warehouse. It sounds like he's got a party going on. See how you go. Hey, Roman, we just got here, buddy. Come tell us what we're doing. Hey, yeah. They just got here. All right, I got it. But listen, hello, beautiful people, particularly you right there missing the third row. How you doing? You good? My name is Roman Pierce. Pleased to meet you. My buddy Hobbs asked us to stash you short for a while. So we brought you in our secret spot. We're having a few friends
look, see up there? It's Hobbs Urban Assault Vehicle. Best truck the U.S. government can buy. That work of art back over there is made by my man Ted. Think of it as like a Mona Lisa on wheels.
So did you put it down today?
What's that?
You had one job to do. Only one. All right, look, guys. We're gonna keep Shaw from finding you, but to keep you safe, we need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us here. So put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone could give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next bay and we'll meet you in there.
So like I was saying, the third world, like what was saying,
It'll be dark, don't tell you.
This is what we doing. This is the race day after party. And where the other?
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move. Neil, that's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Ladies, just back up a little bit. I got you. It's lightweight. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. Escort this novice out.
Let's go, Cookie Puss.
That ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of this.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back.
Man.
It was on vibrate. Sure, Trace does. Ops can't hold it forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle. It's about to get real interesting.
My Mona Lisa's all warmed up right next door.
Roman, grab your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
Straight to us. Harris is going to do his best to keep us in. But if I know this crew like I know Roman, you're going to want to go ahead and put on your 3D glasses now, because thankfully, they also double as protective equipment. So don't forget to remain seated. Hold on to all personal objects. No flash photography. Definitely hold on tight. Because I think we're actually
Which one of you is the witness? Speak now, or you all get fried!
This is our turn.
attraction! Everybody hold on! Hit the knife!
Buenísimo, Matías.